Hello my friends, welcome back. I'm Chisco Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Civilization Heroes and Allies, I want to share the top 10 mistakes that new players make, and I would know because I made a lot of them. Joking aside, I'm just wrapping up my first season. I've done incredibly well, I would say, although I'm not, near the top of the Valor board. I am near the top of the Growth board. So at least I did something right. And I want to share with you the things that I learned, the things that I wish I had known from the very beginning, because look, I didn't know all this stuff. I got to give a shout out to my alliance, KSR, for helping explain stuff to me and bringing me along in the journey. We've had a really fun season. Looking forward to what the next season brings. And let's get into it, okay? Now, this video, by the way, I'm not going to have the common sense stuff that applies to every city building wargame, like huge mistake to stay in a bad alliance. Like, obviously, right? So, like, get into the best alliance you possibly can, and that's the biggest multiplier and the number one tip that literally anyone can give you for any game in this genre. But you're here for the specific advice, so let's get into the things that are specific to this game, okay? Mistake number one is that morale is a silent killer. So every one of your armies, all right, is going to start at 100 morale. And as you move about the map, your morale is going to start to drop. Okay, your morale drops based on the number of tiles that you've moved, and for each morale that you dropped, you lose 0.7% damage. So if you march 100 tiles, you deal 70% less damage. Just want to let that sink in. So how do you fix this? Before you attack, you want to make sure that you have not drained your morale. And you can just restation your army using cities, forts, airports. It's fast, it's easy, resets your morale back to 100. Morale is the silent killer. Beware morale. Now let's go to mistake number two, which is not unlocking your march queues incredibly fast. At the start of the game, it's easy to focus on just 3 to 5 armies, but exhausting your AP on your main armies and not having lots of march queues available is going to put you at a disadvantage compared to someone who can efficiently spend more AP. And although you can always swap out heroes that are in a queue, doing so costs you 80% of the resources to train the militia. So you don't really get to swap out these armies all the time. You kind of lock in with those armies, which means you need more queues. Okay? In addition, you're going to want to spend lots of AP from heroes in order to gain experience, capture tiles, participate in alliance objectives, etc. So the fix is obviously to unlock more stinking queues. You can upgrade your quarters. Let's go to my cities here. You can upgrade your quarters. All right, we'll go to this city. My city center, beautifully named Chis City 01. GG. Quarters. The quarters is where the armies of the city are garrisoned. Upgrade the quarters to unlock more armies for this city. Do it for your main city, do it for your sub-city. This is not hard, okay? But do it. Ultimately, these extra march queues become what's called endurance armies. So you're going to have main armies that you run around and smash with, and then you're going to have endurance armies that you just siege stuff with. They're not really there to fight. They are there because they're very, very good at draining endurance. You're going to use them to take city-states, potentially vassal players, the fun stuff, all right? Mistake number 3 is going to be consuming gold heroes too early. One of the things that's kind of neat about this game is that multiple copies of a hero is like a good thing. And there's a lot that you can do with multiple copies of a hero. As an example, you can unlock a title, you can improve star levels. I mean, you can retire a hero to get their skill and then put that skill somewhere else, which is pretty cool. Now, one of the other ways that you can use these heroes that is important to be very careful about doing is to unlock different troop types. So let me see if I can find you an example real quick. There we go. 2 5-star heroes. I could unlock, the rifle grenadier over here. It might be powerful now, but the thing is that in future seasons, there's going to be more eras that come out. So like when you're in a season, unlocking something for industrial era, it feels like, yeah, I'm in the end game. That's like the best I can do. But like future seasons are going to have more eras. the new eras are going to outclass the old eras. Like, I feel like consuming too many gold heroes too early, especially on the wrong things, is going to end up being a mistake. I didn't really make this mistake. At least I don't feel like I did in a major way, but I think it would be pretty easy to get amped up about a unit type when, like, I don't think that's necessarily the best thing to go and do. All right, let's jump on to mistake number 4. Mistake number 4 is going to be delaying your monument or library upgrades. So research is obviously like very crucial to your account progression. Okay, in fact, maybe the place to show research would actually be to go over here in the tech tree. At this point, we're at the very end of things, as I mentioned. But research is how you actually get an early advantage and win in fights. If you do not push aggressively on your research, you're going to find yourself behind in the tech race. Your enemies might have a new era, more advantages, higher buildings. And the 2 buildings that drive this progress are monument and library. So you need to prioritize these buildings. We go to the city center. Monument, well, Chiss City 01 only has a library. Your main city will have both the monument and the library, but the library gives you more total ruins that you can go and capture. The monument gives an insight boost. Let me pull that up. I covered this in another video, so I won't go too much more in depth here, but needless to say, these 2 buildings are crucial for your progression. Do not sleep on it. All right, mistake number 5. Missing out on Alliance Sieges. I've covered Alliance Sieges in several videos on my channel, so I don't know that I need to go too in-depth on this one, but Alliance Sieges are an amazing way to get gold. Okay? Easy gold, easy hero recruits. I have a video about when we took Babylon. I'll have a card in the end screen for that one. But just like keep track of your Alliance mails, notifications. There's a bunch of ways to know like when your team is doing this stuff. You're going to want to restation extra armies close by so that you can score a bunch of points and get the rewards, all right? Now let's get to a savage one. Mistake number 6, fighting high-level tiles too early. You only have a certain amount of militia. Sucks to lose them, and then you got to retrain them. Gonna happen, but like you don't want to be taking unnecessary losses here, okay? You can see my city militia is actually over cap now, but if you go and deplete your militia, you're kind of cooked until you have more troops to put into armies. So this is especially brutal if a war breaks out and you're not ready for it, right? And wars in this game can also last for weeks on end, so it's better to not be drained on militia at any point in time. So how do you avoid fighting tiles that are too high level for you? Make use of guard suppression while capturing tiles. All right. Guard suppression is active when your hero reaches level 40. This reduces guard damage dealt in a tile by 50% and increases their damage taken by 50%. Guard suppression is crucial. For level 40 heroes, you'll suppress level 8 and under tiles. Level 45 heroes, it's level 9 tiles. And for level 48 heroes, it's level 10 tiles that are suppressed. The other way your militia can get sort of deleted is when your army goes into a draw. So a draw happens when no side is won within 8 turns. Rather than letting an army, which has had its militia depleted, fight again, you might be better off refreshing the army, getting fresh militia, filling up, and having a really overwhelming victory, as long as you can get back there before the guards have sort of respawned again, so you can get a better trade. You can also use multiple armies to attack a high-level tile if you're in a rush, and just using your strongest army and refreshing your militia count is going to have the lowest casualties, but multiple armies is another way to sort of approach it. And if you're taking a tile and your hero gets hurt during a fight, that hero is out of commission for like 10 minutes. So rather than waiting out the draw for the next round of attacks, if you've lost one of these heroes, this is another reason why you'd be better off recalling to avoid further losses of militia, since you may not win if you've got a hurt hero. Mistake number 7 is going to be related to ruins. I know we've talked about ruins a bunch in this video, but since ruins deliver insight to you, they are really, really, really crucial. You want to have either your sub-city or your main city near some ruins, okay? And the reason that you want to have your main city or your sub-city near some ruins is that you actually can drill on that tile for even more experience and growth. Drilling is something you can do on a tile that you own. If I go to drill here, I'll basically do a mock battle against a tile, which is going to give me experience to the hero. And as I was mentioning, ruins give more experience. Next best thing is a food tile. And the next best thing to actually being near a high-level ruins would be to have an airport near a ruin. That's a decent alternative. But because you get more yield off of a ruin, you ideally want to have one of your cities near one of those so that you can drill on it. Now, on the topic of moving your city, let's talk about mistake number 8, and that is ignoring barbarian ruins. I don't know if there's even a great way for me to show this to you right now, although I can say Dom 117 over here is on a ruin. And I know that because the elite barbarian guards were left behind for whatever reason. And actually, if I tap this thing, I can probably show. Let's see here. Hold up. Sorry, wrong button. No battles have been fought on this tile recently. Okay, GG. Anyways, when you're on top of a ruin, there's a couple perks that you get. One of those perks, which this spot over here is on top of a ruin, okay? Yeah, but that was a long time ago that I took this thing, is that you can improve the tiles near the ruin above and beyond your normal improve limit, which is actually insane. There's like a tile radius around a ruin, a barb ruin specifically, that you can improve above and beyond your regular improve list. So this just gives you a massive surge in growth. There's a limited number of barbarian ruins in new zones. They have to be captured. I made a dedicated video about that. I'll have a card in the end screen. It is absolutely crucial. Mistake number 9 is not building a survival inclination army. Now let me show you what I mean here. This is a damage inclination army, but the inclination system is the countering system in this game. Survival is in the top center, and the survival inclination, as the name indicates, is all about healing, damage reduction, and damage evasion. Why does this matter? So, generally speaking, survival armies focus on these things that are going to keep you alive, and they're better at taking big hits, better at taking tiles, doing drills, fighting barbs, slaying guards. But perhaps the best example of this is what's called the HH bond. All right, that is the heroic heart bond, and I can show that to you. It's on Mulan, right? The hero bond, heroic heart. Each time the Vanguard takes a basic attack, they gain first aid 1 time, heal rate of 100%. This is like one of the iconic survival armies. It is so good for taking tiles. It's centered around tons of healing and dealing damage and counterattacking. And it was probably my biggest blunder this season. I started with an attack damage lineup using Herald, but I realized I was starting to lose a lot more militia taking these level 9 and 10 tiles, which cost me more AP. It took me longer to increase my production. Then I had to train back the militia. If you can build the HH bond early or some survival army, bro, it is a way more efficient way to take tiles. And the number 10 mistake that we're covering in this vid anyways is not maximizing my triumph. I don't know that I necessarily maximized my triumph. Triumph is something demonstrating your contribution over the course of a season. You can see my triumph listed over here. Regardless of what my alliance has done, I have my own triumph ranking. As you play through a season, there's a bunch of ways that you can improve your triumph. That is going to include your production, siege enemies being defeated, siege endurance being depleted, joining into sieges, enemy troops defeated, total valor gained, which is PvP, tiles captured in PvP, PvP sieges, the amount of tech research you did, and your total science for the season. This is something I didn't really even know was going on until my alliance pointed it out to me. I covered end of season rewards more in depth in a prior video, and I'll have a card up top if you want to check it out. But you should do these Triumph related activities because the Triumph shop has some pretty cool stuff. You might want to pick it up. At first, I thought this was maybe an unlock of Joan, but I believe this is actually just the skin for Joan. Still, it's cool. You enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe. If you're looking for more information about Civilization Eras and Allies, as I mentioned, I've got 2 videos. Cards will be in the end screen. One was for Barbarian ruins and what you need to know about that. And the other, I can't remember, but when I edit, I'll know exactly what to do. So watch that video because I think you'll like it. What was it? I actually can't remember. Oh my God. Thank you again, Civilization Eras and Allies, for sponsoring this vid. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. Take care, everybody.